You're listening to the Masonic Light Podcast. Starring Pete Ruggieri, Larry Maris, and Jason Lewis. This podcast is not endorsed by any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous ramblings of the hosts are their own. So sit back and enjoy some Masonic conversation without pretension. And now, here's your hosts, Pete, Larry, and Jason.
Hey, this is Pete from Masonic Light Podcast, and I'm here with Jason.
How you doing?
And there is no Larry.
No Larry.
Larry had some health issues this week, and he is recovering at home. So
we expect a speedy recovery, but took him out of the game tonight.
Yeah, so we'll play a little clip from Larry in a little bit. Today, our guest is going to be Brother Jack Aquilina. Where is he from?
In Victoria.
Yes, Victoria, like the Queen.
Right. In Australia. Jack Aquilina is the host of the Brought to Light podcast. They're 14 or 15 episodes in. And they release about every 2 weeks like us, and he has some wonderful guests. A lot of Australian guests and also some guests from the U.S. He had some of the Masonic
and their podcast is, even though Jack's like 23,
right?
Their podcast is a little bit more grown up than ours.
Yes.
But it's not like full-blown...
Emphasis on a little. Actually, a lot more grown up.
Yeah. But it's not like full-blown Masonic nerd like some of the other ones. It's like kind of like... It's a stepping stone to the real deep esoteric podcast.
Right. And he's doing a few series right now, so he'll have multiple guests on about a different topic. But and he's also in charge, in charge. He's the founder of the Blue Lounge, which is a social club. And they're trying to spread it across Australia, and it's to keep brothers, tapped into Freemasonry, but not necessarily at a state meeting and just voting on approving minutes and all that. They're basically a social group, and they're gaining some traction, and their Grand Lodge seems to be on the verge of being receptive. And yeah, just a great brother. We've talked to him quite a bit across Facebook, and we finally had an opportunity to get him on air, if you will. But before we do that, let's do what we normally do. How was your Masonic week? Or 2 weeks?
I don't know if I've had anything Masonic in the past 2 weeks. Only thing I had was Tall Cedars practice. So I did not get roped in. I actually volunteered. I'm playing the part of the Prince Master of the Palace.
Nice.
For the Tall Cedars prologue and royal court. So I'm not talking out of school, even though there's an oath and obligation that says I'm not supposed to talk about this. But if you were to come to one of these, it's open. Wives can be there, girlfriends, Uncle Harry, anybody can come. So the degree is really about when they needed wood to complete the temple, and because there wasn't any really wood left in Israel, they wanted to seek out King Hiram of Tyre and the forests of Lebanon. So the whole degree is about that.
It's a great degree. I've seen it on DVD, but the story is a nice addition to what you learn in your craft degrees.
Yeah, so for the first time in 20 years, Lancaster Forest number 27 is going to actually put this on live.
Nice.
So, I didn't feel like I'm walking into something that these guys have been doing forever, because a lot of these guys haven't done it in 20 years. So, hopefully I do a good job, and if I do, then I guess this will be my part for the next 20 years.
There you go. You made eye contact.
Yeah, so that was it for me Masonically. Anything with you, Jason?
I am in full swing with this one-day class coming up, and you guys have heard, multiple mentions of this, but Pennsylvania is doing a statewide one-day class, and, whether you agree with that or disagree, it's happening. And there was some, I don't want to say miscommunication, but might be some misunderstanding of some of the waivers and dispensations. But we've just recently learned, so if you're a Pennsylvania Mason or a Pennsylvania listener, that they've waived your 30-day reading, your 30-day voting, your 30-day committee of inquiry, and you can do a committee of inquiry ahead of time, and then you can read and vote in the same evening, as long as you hold a special meeting with due and timely notice. So there's your informational tidbit for you Pennsylvania people. But that's pretty much, we're sending, I think, 10 guys, and we got a potential 15 more possibly coming out of 43. So it might be a pretty big class.
I don't have any idea how many we have at Lamberton.
The First Masonic District is going to send close to 100.
Oh, wow. So I guess we do have some people in
Yeah.
there. Okay.
So it's been, that's been the talk of every conversation. So what else have I done? Board meeting, executive meeting for Scottish Rite, normal pre-meetings, getting ready for the Lodge 43 stated meeting this week. You guys had your meeting last week.
Yep, and we then we had our extra meeting on Thursday, which I made sure to avoid because it was going to be we're going to do 3 degrees in one night, so that's at least 3 hours.
That's a normal night for 43.
Yeah, but like usually when we have more than 2, we have a second extra meeting.
Right.
So it's rare for us to try and pack like 3 third degrees into one night.
We've done, I think, 5 thirds was the longest night we've done.
Wow.
But our thing is like we're there, and we're already, our wives or significant others are not expecting us. So, the tux is out. Why stink it up another night later in the month? It's like, if we're there, let's just do the work and make it a long night.
So that was it. I guess
that's all I got.
All right, so we're going to take our first break. We're going to come back with Brother Jack Aquilina from Australia.
All right. See you guys soon.
Assuming you're recording.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it's our first try, guys.
Here we go.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. Wow, this works.
So, Jason, you've got all the notes here on Mr. Jack. So,
should we jump into it?
Go ahead. You be Larry.
Well, we have a present for you, Jack. Hang on. Hopefully this works. I don't know if the FCC is going to like this.
Yeah, so there's like probably 10,000 bands from Australia, but that's like the one we know is the one that has a Scottish lead singer.
All right, so here we are. We got Pete and myself, Jason. Larry's not with us, unfortunately. He's not feeling well, and he was really excited about this. But our special guest is Jack Aquilina. Am I saying that right, Jack?
Yep, you got it right. Well done.
All right. And all the way from Victoria, Australia, correct?
Yes, that's exactly right.
All right. And you are the host of the Brought to Light podcast, which we're all a big fan of, and also the founder of the Blue Lounge Social Club.
Yep, that's the one. Yeah,
all
that's
right.
the one.
I'm looking at my notes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what the Blue Lounge Social Club is? Larry got all giddy and excited over it, so I want to hear about what it is.
Well, it is worth getting giddy and excited about. At least I get excited about it. The Blue Lounge basically is the injection of fun into Freemasonry. Apparently, when we joined, we're told we're joining this fun organisation, and you go to a few business meetings and you're sitting there going, okay, the minutes, they got me excited, but it just wasn't as fun as I thought it would be. So we set up the Blue Lounge and we thought, let's make Freemasonry fun. So it started off as 4 blokes meeting up for a beer in the back room of a Masonic Centre in Brunswick, and now it's sort of gone statewide, and we get 70 people to our meetings, and it's becoming a little bit addictive. So I guess the Blue Lounge was started to make Freemasonry fun, and then it's morphed into all these other things now. But that's basically what it was about, sort of trying to make Freemasonry what we thought it was, and now we're really happy about that.
And do you have the blessing of your Grand Lodge?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one. We did. Well, we sort. I think we do. I'm not sure, but it's one of those things. We're currently negotiating. This is going to sound really interesting to your listeners, but we're currently negotiating a relationship, a partnership, and I'm going through that process at the moment. It's really interesting. But aside from that, we're completely independent, and there's been a bit of, as with every Grand Lodge, there's been a bit of membership sort of upheaval against Grand Lodge for all sorts of reasons. So we're actually above all that, we'd like to think, and we're seen as a sort of a grassroots, organisation, and I guess the members like us and still hate Grand Lodge at the same time, so everyone wins. So it's great.
How many lodges do you have there in your city?
That's a good question. In my district alone, this is the Northern District, which encompasses quite a few suburbs. There's about 32 lodges in my district, and across the state, I think we have about 242 or 243 lodges. It's way too many. We've got a membership of 9,500 people. That's the official records. I think it's a lot less than that. So. We're like you guys. We're coming off the back of that World War II boom, and then now we're realising, we've got all this, infrastructure and all these things that we need to do and look after, and we haven't really got the numbers to do it. So quite a few lodges, but not many members.
So the Blue Lounge, is it statewide or province-wide, whatever the proper term is for you?
Yeah, so like America, we've got states. We're a federation of states, except we've only got 6 of them, thank God. And basically, the Blue Lounge is we operate in 3 districts at the moment. We're currently expanding to a further 3 districts, and then we've got another couple of regional districts that are wanting to talk to us. So basically, as a state president, my job is to fill any gaps around the state, whether we don't have an organisation or a club, but hopefully we'll become statewide. And I've been contacted by, Queensland and Canberra and people overseas are wanting to set one up. So hopefully we go international. So that'd be really, really good. So we don't want to be confined to borders. So, yeah.
We can be your Pennsylvania charter.
I support that. I think, you guys for president and secretary, that sounds good.
Oh, God. Here we go. Don't make eye contact.
No.
You're making it. I can see it.
Oh, so... I'm reading off Larry's notes, but so Brought to Light podcast. So you're into episode 14, I think.
Yeah. 16's coming up.
16's coming up. You just had on Robert Johnson. I was listening to that earlier today.
Yeah, no, thanks for listening, guys. We had Robert Johnson on. He's pretty cool. I guess, like with all these podcasts, especially the one you guys are doing, Rob is like the father of podcasts, for good and bad. I guess you guys have set up this sort of non-pretentious, really fun podcast, which I actually listen to every week non-stop. So, and a lot of guys down here really like it. I think maybe it's just the Aussie humour. We like to sort of be chilled and a bit more laid back. But Rob does a good show. Some of it is really intense. I remember he did an episode on the third eye and the Kabbalah, and I was just listening to it going, wow, I'm having a trip right now. It's really interesting. But he was really good to interview, and he's been big supporters. But it's more exciting for me to actually interview you guys, because we see you guys as like the party animals of Freemasonry. It's as exciting as it gets.
So tell me about you. We started the podcast about that. Pete and Larry started, and then I just started showing up. I threatened that I was going to start showing up until they made me a permanent member. But what kind of success have you been having, and what kind of listenership and reach have you been experiencing?
Yeah, I think the latest statistics were suggesting that we had about 6,000 listeners. I think a lot of that's been organic growth. Apparently, a third of it's from Australia, a third of it's from the United States, and a third of it's from the UK. So we've been really and Europe sort of falls in there somewhere. But 6,000 listeners is pretty cool. I tried to think, how many people could I fit in a stadium, and let's try and get to that point. And 6,000 is a good start. But we've had a really good impact. What people tell us is that we're sort of a mix between what you guys are doing, nowhere near as funny, but we're also a mix between what you guys are doing, casual conversations, and also some of the more, esoteric stuff that's happening out there. We try to make our podcast more focused on the practical realities of Freemasonry. We find a lot of young guys join, at least here in Victoria, and they get bogged down with this, older gentleman sort of running this organisation in a way that no organisation's been run for 100 years, and they sort of sit there and they go, help me, show me the way to do this, and this. So we want to make our podcast quite practical. We've had a lot of great responses, and the amount of people who contact me and say, thank you, you've saved me from quitting my lodge or quitting Freemasonry, or I was able to get the guts to tell my lodge, no, I'm not taking office this year just because I had a new child or something like that. That makes my day, so it's really, really good.
Nice. So you have lived in the U.S.
Yes.
and you've visited many times. So where have you lived? Where have you visited? What's and can you do your best American accent for us?
I'm terrible at the American accent. I lived in. I was actually lucky enough to live in Lubbock, Texas. I lived in West Texas for
of all the places.
Wow,
Pete's face.
That's a great representation of our people.
So guns up and all in Texas Tech, and look, I enjoyed it. It was really good. The college life is what I love about you guys is that winning isn't a bad thing. Over here, you tend to do well, and it's like, oh, I better not tell anyone because I might make someone feel out of place. But when I was at uni over there, I just felt like, if you did well, it was like really good and encouraged, and it was like a winning culture, and it really helped me sort of feel comfortable because I try to do my best and a bit ambitious, a bit like other people. But over here, you just can't seem to talk about success because if you do well, then you have to sort of be ashamed of it. So I like that cultural difference. But look, Texas is cool. Can't say they're the brightest tools in the shed. I got asked if we had electricity in Australia. That was interesting. They said, have you heard of Blink 182? I'm like, no, we don't get the radio down there, so it's a bit of a difficult one, but it was a good experience. I think everyone should do it. I travelled up the East Coast. I don't know why I didn't get to Pennsylvania. I sort of dodged that. Was it a good thing? I'm not sure. But
my notes say you were in Philadelphia, or is that not true?
I think I was there one night. Yeah, I can't remember. It was a real blur by that point. I think it was for the main thing we did though that I wanted to do was we passed through. We went through Louisiana, went to Bourbon Street and all that sort of stuff. That was really cool. And then we went to Florida and I did like the Harry Potter world and I felt like I was a 5-year-old. It was really, really good. And then straight up to DC and then we caught the Amtrak all the way up to New York and by that point I was pretty buggered. But yeah, saw a bit of the US. I love the United States. I'd love to live there. But, it's one of those things you got to get the time and money to get back. So I will be back, though, I promise you.
So, your latest series that you're talking about is about innovation in the craft and, kind of a focus on the digital age and the world is getting smaller and smaller. I'm curious to see what your take is, internationally. What can we do, as an international group, do you think, to really help masonry in general, and we've heard the numbers are dwindling, but we hear that they're up in the younger age group. What can we do to ensure that 50 years from now that we're still going to be on pace to be around?
That's a really good question. That's a thing, like part of this sort of innovation month thing that I'm running is for me to actually learn if there's any secrets out there. And the more I'm speaking to people, the more I'm realizing we're all pretty much screwed. We're all in the same situation. But if I were to say anything to anyone about what we can do to improve Freemasonry, I was at a Grand Lodge thing a couple of weeks ago, and they asked me to come up to the quarterly communication and do a presentation. And people said to me, "How do we keep young people in the craft?" I said, "Well, my greatest advice is let them take the journey of Freemasonry in the way they want to take the journey. If they don't want to join all the other side orders, simple. Don't make them join the other side orders. If they don't want to take office." Pretty straightforward stuff. Don't tell people what to do. Let them take the journey the way they want to take it, and you'll probably find that they stick around and they get more out of it. So in terms of where I think we're heading, I think our organisation is going to get a lot smaller, a lot smaller, especially here in Victoria. We've got 50% of our membership over the age of 70. So in 10, 15 years, we're going to lose 50% of our membership, and there's no way we're going to recruit that much over that period. So we're going to become a lot smaller, but I don't see it as a bad thing. I mean, a lot of the people I speak to about the future of Freemasonry seem quite pessimistic. I'm actually really optimistic. I think that we've got a great organisation that stood the test of time. We've got a product that really no other organisation can offer. We're going to become smaller, but that maybe gives us an opportunity to focus on quality over quantity and having an organisation that is probably more intimate than it currently is. At the moment, there seems to be a huge sort of divide between the generations and all other sort of aspects of Freemasonry. So I guess the other important thing as well is ensuring that we remain relevant. And the only way we can remain relevant is by being willing to sort of adapt some of the way we do things. And that's why the social club's good, and that's why it's important we can't just have, regular meetings all the time that focus on passing minutes and paying bills. If that's the extent of Freemasonry, then people aren't going to join. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. The one thing we didn't do, Jack, and not that we want to, we call it sniffing the apron, but for our listeners' sake, give us a brief rundown of the highlights of your Masonic career.
Okay. Geez, it's really, really interesting. I've only been a member since 2013, so I haven't been a member for that long. But I've done a lot over that time, though. The highlight, though, in my view, was my younger brother just got initiated about 2 months ago. And it was a real awesome experience because I was acting junior deacon for the night. We had the Grand Master come and participate in the ceremony, which was pretty cool. And we had 107 people in the room, and it was just electric. And that was probably the highlight of my Masonic career, being able to take my younger brother through the initiation and have all those people in the room supporting us and just having a fantastic night. So that was really, really good. The other sort of milestone for me, really had an impact on me, was when I joined the Holy Royal Arch chapter. You do your exaltation, and that ceremony was just really, really cool. So I really liked that. So if I was going to pick two moments, it'd probably be those two. And I guess the only other one that I really liked was I've served in a few offices. I'm on the way to the chair, but my favourite office so far has been the chaplain's job. And in the third degree here, we do a charge called the Ecclesiastics, and being able to deliver that was pretty crazy. So, they've probably been the highlights of my Masonic career, besides the podcast and the Blue Lounge and all the other stuff.
Nice. We'll have to get you out to Pennsylvania so you can see how short and simple our ritual is.
Yeah, in Pennsylvania, the worshipful master has 90% of the dialogue, whereas in the other states, there's a lot of communication back and forth between the master and the wardens. But yeah, the master just has to drone on and on and on, and it's a long night.
I was going to imagine it'd be a big night for him. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's about an hour per degree, so it's there's some back and forth and some mechanics, but once they get rolling, it's quite a bit. Do you have anything else, Pete?
Well, I've got lots of stuff.
Have at it.
So everything I've learned about Australia, I've learned from The Simpsons. So,
Yep.
When you guys walk around the altar, do you do it counterclockwise?
No, it's all clockwise, obviously. But I guess the biggest issue we have is the whole the north being dark and the south being light, because the sun actually, when it comes up through the east, it goes through the south rather than the north rather than the south. So it's a bit confusing, and they've actually talked about changing that. But I thought, no, just leave it. What's the big deal? It's all symbolic, because my lodge isn't built in a way that it faces east and west. So the toilet water spins the other way. I did notice that when I was in the US. It still does flush though, but it's we don't have our pet kangaroos. They got recently banned, so we're not allowed to ride kangaroos to school anymore. But we're working on bringing it back. So.
Very nice. Trying to think, I have all kinds of that. I was unprepared because I was expecting Larry to do the interview and me just to be the wise ass, making fun of Larry.
Well, I got some fun stuff. I mean, I got a game to play, but we can do that now. We can do it later.
You go ahead and play the game.
Okay.
And I'm going to go get a drink.
Aussie Masons. Are you seeking more than just meetings and minutes, but a place to relax and enjoy the fellowship the fraternity has to offer? The Blue Lounge Social Club is waiting for you. Find us at bluelodgesocial.com. And we're back. All right, so still haven't figured out this echo, but we'll get there. It's our maiden voyage. So, all right, I got some fun for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Always ready.
All weekend I've been trying to find some slang, and your slang, at least what I found on the internet, is horrible. So it's not. It's all dirty.
Yes.
All right. So here's the game. Here's what we're gonna do. I have some slang, and I'm gonna say a sentence using some slang, and you're gonna translate.
And you also mispronounce it.
I'm gonna mispronounce it.
Yeah.
And you're gonna translate. So I'm gonna say it wrong.
And
you're gonna translate. And what I'm hoping for is that some of these, that the slang is wrong. All right.
Yep, I can do it.
Earlier this Arvo, Larry took a spill.
Okay. Earlier this afternoon, Larry went to the toilet. I'm guessing. I'm guessing spill. I've never said that. Spill.
Arvo is the word that I picked up. So okay. All right, is that a word? Arvo?
Yeah, Arvo. Yeah, it's Arvo. Yeah.
Okay, great. We're going to go down to southern Lancaster in the back of Burke.
the back of Berg, I think, is like a shithole, like a place you don't want to go. And funny enough, I was actually there not long ago.
Here's an easy one. We're gonna go to the Outback and have some shrimp on the Barbie.
Yes, that's I don't know where the Outback is. I'm still looking for it. But...
Yeah, the fine native dining that we have here.
Yeah, the Outback Steakhouse.
That and the Foster's, right? That's all the country is. Yeah.
That's what we drink. That's definitely not what we drink. Sorry, guys.
I had the bloomin' onion, and it was the bloody oath.
I've never said blooming before, but bloody oath is a common one. Yeah.
What does that translate to?
I'm trying to figure out. I've had the what's the blooming? Is it like good?
Oh, that's a stupid appetizer they have that they pretend is Australian, but it's not.
The blooming, I get it. Bloody oath is pretty. I don't know. It's like it's good.
I hope that my computer during this recording doesn't go cactus.
Ah, yes, you don't have to shit itself. Yep, basically. Yep,
all right, there we go.
Yep.
Is that how you would use it in a sentence?
I've never used it before, but that's how you would use it. Yep.
Let's see. I'm going to put this in my stubby holder.
Yes, the stubby holder. I thought I had one. Yeah, stubby, like it's like a your stubby is like your beer can or your beer glass or whatever you guys call them, and you put it in the cooler, which is the stubby holder. But stubbies are like the can or the sort of beer glass.
That's all I got. That's all I got for fun and games.
Now, well, we're gonna have you back on a future episode because we're gonna let Larry have. Because it's so much fun to make fun of Larry. We're gonna let Larry do a good interview, a real interview.
In fact, that's the funniest part about your show. Yeah.
Well, now that
he says that, but I'm not sure about that. Like he always says, like at the end when he does his ramblings, he goes, "This is what the people love."
What you don't see when you're listening to the show is just the eye rolling, and the hand signals, and I think doing this podcast is probably half the fun.
If I wasn't so ugly, we could upgrade it to TV.
Right.
But yeah.
There's no way that we couldn't. I mean, we literally, if we have to set Larry directly across from the guest that he's interviewing, or else he won't talk into the microphone.
Right, like the seat I'm in right now, I'm facing the camera, so he would, in his mind, he's having a conversation because you're 4 feet in that direction. But if somebody's over here, he turns his head and does not talk into the microphone, and so Jason's sitting here at the board. And he's constantly adjusting the levels to make it reasonable. He's
like coughing or taking a drink or...
Yeah, but I got to say, Larry is probably our biggest cheerleader. He's been very excited over this podcast. He's the one that really kind of keeps it going because he's...
Oh, yeah, he's the driving force for sure.
Yeah, because
and he has a unique voice. I think a lot of people like that as well.
Well, it takes unique. It takes like 20 minutes for his voice to get warmed up.
Yeah.
It sounds like a chainsaw. It's really good.
Well, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else for?
No, I can't believe you have to go to work. So I guess you're not working today. But
I don't have to. Yeah,
but it's your whole day ahead of you.
No, I just have to go.
No, not you. It's not about you. It's about Jack.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me.
Jack's got the whole day ahead of him.
What are you talking about? Yeah, no. What time is it over there? 10 in the morning?
10:30. It is 10:36. Yeah.
Nice.
10:36.
Well, I know
the whole day.
You're our guest, but do you have any questions for us?
Yeah. My question to you guys is, you guys sort of fumble around, Lancaster and talk to people and do stuff for Freemasonry. What do you think the future is going to be for Freemasonry? Are you optimistic or are you pessimistic? Or are you just apathetic?
Who wants to go first?
I'll go. I guess I'm just going to be non-committal in this. I mean, it's going to survive. I watch the people in charge and their natural I've been in sales a long time. And I used to work with this crazy guy, and he was a commercial real estate salesman. And if he listed a property, and he listed this property at $500,000, and 60, 90 days went by and nobody gave him an offer on it, your normal idea would be to lower it to $400,000. He would go out and put a sign out on the property and raise the price to $600,000. And everybody's like, "Oh my goodness, what's going on that I don't know about? I got to have that thing." So in Pennsylvania and America, we keep trying to make everything easier. We have these one-day classes. We have, we're going to waive this. We're going to waive all this crap. But I just think if you made it harder and you made it more expensive, you would get more dedicated people. I think they should go the other way. And then what's going to happen is you're going to have these side bodies that are going to be the serious bodies. And nobody's really going to want to hang out and be in Blue Lodge. People are going to join Blue Lodge just so they can join something else.
Yeah, the side bodies are always saying, don't forget your Blue Lodge. But at the end of the day, I think that the Blue Lodge, if you're not active with your brothers from Blue Lodge, the Blue Lodge itself, like you said earlier, I mean, just reading the minutes and voting and paying the bills can get a little boring. Was it Jack? Was it you that I had a conversation? Did you guys email out the minutes and they get like you've all read the minutes and then you guys vote on it?
That's something we definitely do, especially in the other orders. They don't have the money to post it, and nor should they. I mean, I had a huge argument with my lodge at a planning and general purpose committee meeting about something as simple as let's not post people notice papers who have email addresses, because we're spending $1 a stamp. We're spending money on printing. We're going to Office Works and printing stuff for like $100 a month. Why are we wasting this money? This money could be used for other facilities. So
I'm fighting
basics like that.
I'm fighting that right now. Well, not fighting, but I'm working on that right now as secretary of my lodge. 650 members, and up until I came on board, nobody got it emailed. And I've got 100 people in a year to go email only, and I'm trying to go, try to get at least, well, here in the States, you have to have at least 200 pieces to get like a bulk rate. But that's a big focus of mine at the moment, because I did the math, and our members are we're spending 30% of their dues solely on printing. And
what are your dues?
They're typically, my lodge is 75. I think yours is 60, Pete.
Ours was 40 for the longest time, and when we raised them to 60, you thought that, you thought we were going to like take everybody's guns or something. Everybody's going crazy.
Yeah. And meanwhile,
about a year, is it?
Yeah, and meanwhile, Grand Lodge, they'll raise their dues, that we have to pay them occasionally. And most of our bylaws at this point will let us raise our dues without rewriting the bylaws if it's in accordance with Grand Lodge. But
yeah, I think the way ours is written is that it's whatever the Grand Lodge dues are plus $25.
Right. Yeah.
So
exactly.
we can raise it without going through the dog and pony show.
Yeah, Grand Lodge
6 months of posting it.
Pennsylvania Grand Lodge is raised by $1 or $2 over the last couple of years, and we have not raised it. We're going to wait until do a $5 or $10 increase. At least that's the talk now. I mean, that's current leadership. That could all change. But back to your question, Jack, about what can we do, and I've talked about this a little bit, and the Masonic Roundtable guys, and also his name escapes me, but he does the Ex Oriente podcast.
Oh, yes.
But they did a couple really good segments about the generational gaps and millennials and Gen Xers and all that, and I really I kind of resonated with that. I think that we're at a pivotal moment in Freemasonry. I think that we keep hearing that young people are important, and I don't think that young people are more important than older folks. But I think that we right now, what is attractive to millennials, Freemasonry is attractive to millennials because the things that they want. Typically, we're talking your average millennial. Mutual respect right out of the gate is very, very important to them. Where my grandfather and my parents, respect was earned, not given, and in this generation, the instant respect I think is really, really attractive. Belonging to something is really, really attractive to them. Being able to immediately take some role in leadership. So I think that it's we can do a really good job reaching out to these millennials and bringing them in to the fraternity. I also think that it's really important because it's sheer math that a younger person, somebody who joins younger, if you're 23, 24, I believe.
Yep, 23, yep.
Well, you've got 50 years of masonry or more in you, where somebody who joins at 50 and they just don't. So I really do think that, not to make it all math or sales, but, the more younger people is just by sheer numbers is going to give us more longevity in the craft. As far as the declining numbers, I think there's two schools of thought. Masonry really, really boomed, and some people think that it's dying, but at the same time, some people think it's leveling out. So, I kind of, I half agree with Pete that it doesn't need to be so inclusive, but I think that we can't take our eye off the prize, if you will, with not necessarily recruiting, but making sure that we have an attractive package. And I think that the things that you're talking about,
I have an attractive package.
Oh God, hang on, wait.
Crikey.
Nice.
Thank you.
Man,
Thanks, Steve.
You derailed me, but I think it's really important that we, continue to have these conversations and acknowledge that the world is smaller, and whether it be podcasts or, changing, we're never going to change the landmarks but we need to be a little bit more progressive and forward thinking in making it easier to be Freemasons in the 21st century and beyond. So
yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, you guys, I don't know how many young guys you got joining out in your way, but one of the biggest issues I find is it's just the lack of the lack of fun. I mean, why isn't the organisation fun? And I guess one of the real requirements that really pisses people off is the religious requirement. I know that you guys in the United States, your culture tends to be more inclined towards religion, whereas over here we tend to be quite irreligious, pagans, blasphemous, so all the rest of it. We tend to be quite relaxed about religion, but one of the issues is the supreme being requirement, and I think this is the biggest challenge facing Freemasonry.
I know. I have had friends that are brothers now that when we've talked about them joining, that was one of their biggest hang-ups. They kind of considered themselves an atheist, and and I've kind of brought them around. I'm not going to get them to change their beliefs of a supreme being, but I just kind of would say, hey, listen, that's about where I am. I'm the most minimal. A lot of the founders of the United States were what they would call deists. They just, they believe that there was somebody that flipped the switch, but they're not hands-on. And, they're just what happens. It's not, nobody's telling us what to do.
And I think it's important, and I agree. I think that belief in a supreme being is a pretty broad statement, but I don't think that it would make sense to not. I mean, the story that you learn, in your craft degrees, would not make sense if you didn't believe in a supreme being, and more importantly, an afterlife. I mean, it's kind of like, we have a fellow friend and brother who's Jewish, and he loves the York Rite, but he has not joined Commandery because it just doesn't, that story does not make any sense, for a man of his faith. But
yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think the main issue is that people who are atheists don't understand what that term means, and I think that what we do, we have to be careful not to categorise and push people who are maybe sort of apathetic about God and put them in the same category as people who are actively anti-religious. I think that's a big mistake. It happens here in Victoria. I interview a candidate, or a candidate will contact me via Facebook, and I'll say, look, this supreme being requirement, you're only going to get asked the question once, and it really comes down to you must believe that there is a higher power. That's how I say it, rightly or wrongly, because if we get to a situation where there's a lot of people in my generation at least, and I'm probably the same for you, Jason, that are quite...
Not me, because I'm old.
Well, I don't know. It might be the same of you. I don't know. But I mean, people are quite, anti this idea of organized religion, and perhaps they're more of a spiritual presence or a spiritual enlightenment rather than a religious enlightenment is what they're looking for. And think about it. Who provides that? We do. Just hate singing The Simpsons, but we control that whole element of spirituality. We mix philosophy, religion, all these great traditions, and we offer that to young people. And talking about being relevant to millennials is something you mentioned before. I think the only way we're going to remain relevant is to really tap into the areas where there's big gaps in their life. And one of the big gaps is religion isn't filling it. So what is going to fill it? And I think we have a role to play there. So it's really interesting, and we have to be careful not to class everyone as an atheist or anti-theist, and rather if they're agnostic or unaware or unsure, like Pete's friend was, then let's bring them in the fold and see what they get out of it. I think that's where we have to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's there's some onus to the lodge officers and the lodge itself that, I don't think that we're going to ever rewrite ritual, at least not anytime soon. And so making the actual meetings fun is probably a hard, it's like turning a yacht on a dime, it's not possible. But I think that the Blue Lodges have a responsibility to make sure that their events and the things that they do outside of lodge are, inclusive, not restricted to just Master Masons, let the public come in. And, I feel like our two lodges together, with the Masonic Center and some of the events are doing that, but I don't think that that's, global wide or even statewide. Well, I think that's officially all that I have.
That's all I have.
Beautiful.
Anything else, Jack?
No, that's all good. Thank you
Jason,
very much. For
Jason, you're going to have a heck of a time editing this into a, because we talked for almost an hour.
Yeah, but we can have a long one if we need to. That's okay.
Well, we just have to edit it so it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah, and include all the Larry jokes. That's really important.
Right,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you never did your American impersonation for us.
Oh, because I'm terrible at it. I don't know. What do you want me to say? Give me a sentence.
Pete, what do you want me to say? What's a real American thing to say? Make America great again, or something like that.
Oh gosh.
No, don't say that.
I'm gonna go. I'm going to Walmart to buy a shotgun.
All right, I've got to slow down the pace. Give me a sec. Okay, we enunciate the vowels. That's the main one. I'm going to Walmart to buy a shotgun.
That was actually
that was good. That was good.
That was very Southern.
I like when non-American folks go right for the Southern accent. It must be really easy to do. All right.
Well, thanks for the honor, guys.
Yeah. Should we say our goodbye? It was very nice to finally meet you on the other side of the computer there. Well,
now we'll keep in touch.
So we have the Christmas. We have plans for a joint Christmas episode.
Yeah.
I really think that we need to call.
So
this.
you guys aren't that religious, but you still buy into Christmas because you have presents.
Just because of the presents.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because of the presents.
And I think that.
And it's like really hot.
Have we decided? Are we going to call that brought to light, but LITE?
Yeah. That's all announced, and people are really excited about it, and can't wait. Anyway, I've held you up. I'll let you go. Thank you very much, guys.
All right, Jack. Thank you so much. Have a good morning.
Speak to you soon.
See you, brother. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, this is Larry Maris. Unfortunately, I'm home having some problems, and I wish I really could be there, honest to goodness. I miss the guys. I miss talking to Jack Aquilina in Australia. I'll make it up to you, Jack. Honestly, I will. We'll have a heck of a Christmas show.
And we're back. So not only is Larry not here, and our guest was in Australia getting ready to go to work in the morning, our remote newscaster, Jack Harley, who is officially taking over the news for me. Thank God. This whole production thing's got me working hard. But Jack was unable to be here as well. So we have Jack phoning in his newscast. So without any further ado.
Good news, everyone!
Masonic Light News. News not fit to print.
Jack Harley reporting today from the field with the Masonic Light News. The Grand Lodge has called in a drone strike against a van load of rogue Masons carrying undocumented apple dumplings. Evidence of weaponized chicken soup have also been found in several area soup kitchens, and sources close to the kitchen have told this reporter that if this kind of philanthropy continues, it may be necessary to resort to a full-scale pie invasion. More on this story as it's baked. In an unrelated story, a court in the United Kingdom has ruled that a dedicated Freemason cannot have the square and compasses engraved on his headstone, as it may cause undue trauma to those offended by its obviously anti-Christian symbolism. Those same judges will likely be displeased when a giant "To Be One, Ask One" billboard is erected in front of the local courthouse. That's all from the news from the field. So mote it be.
And that was Jack Harley with the news. Thank you, Jack, wherever you are traveling for work. Some nice satire in there, or was it? And we also heard from Larry. Larry phoned in on a whim, and hoping to have him back for the next episode. But Larry's not here to do his rambling. So, Pete, you've been having some libations. Why don't you ramble us out of here?
Don't play the chicken music. I'm going to keep it actually kind of short because this is probably our longest episode. It's going to be a lot of work for Jason to edit this down and make it palatable.
Killing me.
Yeah. So, but hey, thank you, Jack Aquilina. Anything coming up for you before our next episode?
Stated meeting, one day class, Grotto. What else do we have? Barry Banks will be our next guest. When we mentioned it a few times, but we have the Christmas episode we're planning, so that's a few months away. But if you're a fan of Masonic Light Podcast and Brought to Light, please keep an eye out for that. Oh, one thing I did want to mention. A shameless plug for ratings. So, those of you that have been listening know that we switched hosts. Basically, we're storing our files somewhere else, and we had a little dip and confusion in our listening. But we're putting together some of our statistics and taking a look, and we'd like to thank all of our listeners, and we're really surprised to find that we have listeners all over the world. Obviously, we have a big fan base in Australia, thanks to Jack. Hollywood, Charlotte, North Carolina.
This is a big shout out to our one fan in Estonia.
Yeah, Estonia. What's going on there? But if you are listening to us on iTunes, drop us a line, drop us a review, give us 5 stars, 1 star. It doesn't matter to me. Let us know you're listening. And then also you can always find us online at MasonicLightPodcast.com or on Facebook. But we'd like to hear from you.
I guess you reminded me about Grotto, so I've got actually a busy couple weeks.
Yes, ceremonial.
Well, before that, I'm working on. We're having our first practice in probably 20 years for Goodwin Council number 19. So we're actually having a practice so that we don't drop the ball for doing a regular opening and closing in front of the head guy. And then I'm also learning the part I mentioned this earlier. I'm learning my role in the Tall Cedars degree. I'm headed up to Groton, Connecticut.
Nice.
For the New England Grotto Association. We were not invited. Just because of the
why?
Just because of the beauty of Facebook, we heard that there was a Grotto Association meeting, and so our secretary Jay Laser and I are going to we're going to just go up and crash the damn thing. And so I'll wear my fez. I'll be the monarch there. Then that's the weekend of our big Grotto meeting. So I will come back Sunday morning.
And then Grotto it up.
And then meet you guys to do the interview with Barry Banks.
Well, that's going to be a lot of fun.
And then go to our Grotto meeting. And it'll be crazy.
And speaking of which, we have our Lodge 43, if you're local. Lodge 43 is having their stated meeting with Jack Harley from Grotto, our venerable prophet, because you'll be at practice. We'll be doing a presentation on Grotto, and Worship Master Brett Cook of Lodge 43 has offered to let us call off from labor so we can wear our fezzes and other shenanigans that our Grotto does in particular.
It's going to be a damn dumpster fire.
We'll see. And then you guys are bringing treats.
Yes, absolutely. Supreme Council has a thing. So if we do an event like this for a Blue Lodge, they'll reimburse us
$75.
$75. So
yes,
we're going to buy $75 of pixie sticks or
and
something.
they'll appoint a chairman that wasn't expecting it.
All right, that's it. We've drawn on enough.
You got to give us some. Do your best, Larry.
All right, everybody. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
That's it. That's your best, Larry. No.
What?
That's terrible.
Yeah, I can't do Larry. He's a unique individual.
Well, thanks to Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe, and I'm a Blather, and somebody stuck in Afghanistan, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Banjo music. Jack Aquilina, thank you so much. This is Jason Lewis,
Pete Ruggieri,
and we'll see you guys later.
But Jack did say his favorite part is at the end of the show when you're doing your random provisional playing our dumb music.
Yeah. Just as long as you don't tell him about that fell and have EMT's here to pick me up.
No, I'd never tell him that.
The first thing you would normally say, was he drunk?